I want to preface this by saying that this video is mostly intended for people that have come to my Discord server and asked beginner level Unity questions. People that didn't go through computer science courses or anything, but people that one day decided they want to be a game developer and started watching YouTube videos. Over the years, I've realized that a lot of them, perhaps most of them, don't get past the superficial Unity UI stuff. Things like finding out where which buttons are, learning to write a few lines of code, importing some art assets, and so on. When I first started making YouTube videos, I used to believe and say that anybody can become a game developer. The underlying concept at the time was, if I could do it, so could you. But today, after answering a bunch of questions, after spending a few years interacting with different types of people, I think I'm starting to believe completely the opposite. Here's why. Let me talk a little bit about myself and what I think I'm familiar with, which is programming. When I first started writing a few lines of code in Unity, basic things like find, transform, x position, y position, maybe a couple of if statements here and there, my immediate reaction was, what the hell is this? How is my computer able to process all this when I just write a few words that mean pretty much nothing, or very little? How will this scale to an MMO? Would I have to define every little detail? Would that be thousands and thousands of lines? Who came up with these things? How do these things translate to binary? What the hell is C#? What the hell is JavaScript? How does game physics work? Why can't I render an entire city with picture-perfect graphical fidelity at 300 frames per second? Why can't I play Battlefield with my friend who's on the other side of the world? Or why is the game so laggy? I was writing something like 2 lines of code and already I was getting pissed off because I had so many unanswered questions. I say this because I've seen people that seem to have no interest, no questions, no motivation towards game dev, yet they still want to make their own game. I think that they think that watching a few tutorials is going to allow them to build a AAA title and immediately start making a lot of money. Well, in my case, I searched both online and offline. I Googled things. I went to local game dev studios and asked questions. I was curious about a lot of things. I started learning C, C++, a bit of 3D art, drawing, animations, and a lot of other things as well. I wanted to understand the lower level stuff as well as the higher level stuff and some of the fun things like art and sound that lay on top of a framework. It wasn't just some Unity scripting that I was curious about. Eventually, I was able to connect the dots. It took years of learning and working professionally until I finally started seeing, perhaps extremely vaguely, how things worked. Here's the moral of the story. I still believe that anybody can become a game developer, but it's only possible as long as you enjoy learning, whether it's programming or art or whatever, as long as you're willing to spend years learning the basics. You can even be a game developer just by watching free videos and reading free materials online. Won't cost you money, or then your electricity bills and stuff. But if you're not enjoying game dev, or in this case programming, to the point where you enjoy it so much that you do it whenever you have free time, it's probably not for you. When you're bored, when you have money, when you have a lot of time, if you would rather do something else, most likely it's not for you. This isn't about talent or brains, because I'm just about average. I bring you my example as a bare minimum effort. My only question here is, do you really want to be a game developer? Or how bad do you want to be a programmer? If you don't like programming, how bad do you want to be an artist? 2D artist? 3D artist? Or maybe you enjoy making music or sound effects more. Whatever it is, you have to enjoy doing one of these things, or more. I've seen a lot of cases where people absolutely hate programming, but they still want to somehow write code. They simply believe learning Unity or visual scripting or downloading a few assets is going to compensate for their lack of interest. If you're one of these people, if you're not already asking a bunch of questions on how you can improve your skills, if you blindly pursue a job that you don't like, things are probably not going to work out for you. Maybe the only reason you're trying to learn Unity is because you don't like programming, but you don't feel like you're a talented artist either. There's other jobs like game design, management, marketing, but my guess is it's mostly the same story. In my case, I focus on programming because I like it. I leave art to the artists. Maybe in your case, you're the artist working with a programmer. There's also people that can do both. There's many different scenarios, but none of which a person is only looking for quick answers while not being curious about hundreds of follow-up questions. If you feel like you only want to stick to Unity and C#, if you feel like a game engine is a savior that's going to allow you to realize your dreams as a developer, I think it's a red flag that you don't like game dev. You might want to find other game dev jobs that interest you, or maybe you want to go into a completely different industry. There's nothing wrong with that. What is wrong is denying the fact that you don't like it, but trying to compensate through some assets or visual scripting or some fancy game engine UI. My recommendation is this. Forget game engines for a while and focus on the basics. If you're into programming, take beginner programming courses. If you're into drawing, take beginner drawing classes. A lot of them are either completely free or extremely affordable. Don't go for courses that ask for a lot of money. Don't go for shortcuts. Don't go for one source that claims it can teach you everything. Find out whether you really enjoy a topic or not. Understand that these things take a lot of time, a lot more than whatever you're thinking right now. And finally, loosen up on the idea that game dev is going to make you rich quick. That's it for this video. If you have any questions, you can reach me on my Discord server. All the links are below. I'll see you next time.